All right, so welcome everyone to the March 2026 workshop of Autism Empowerment's Neurodivergent Creators Collective. We are very lucky and happy to have with us today. Our presenter is Martin Vavra, the owner and founder of Galaxy Sailor Productions. And he'll be talking about editing a short film. I have edited a short film, but I did that back when I didn't really know what I was doing. So I kind of wish that I had taken this workshop before I had done that. But hopefully those of you who are here today will be able to benefit from Martin's knowledge and experience. He's an accomplished director, producer, writer, filmmaker, as well as a teacher. So we're very like I said, we're very lucky to have him today. So Martin, take it away.
Excellent. Thank you very much for having me here, and thank you for all of you that are here today to watch this. And if you have any kind of questions, feel free to put them in the chat. If I catch them and it's something we're talking about, I may try to pick them up, but I'll definitely want to do like a question and answer at the end for everyone. And if anybody ever has any kind of questions or anything, please feel free to always reach out to me. Um, I am going to, so I've got some screen sharing stuff and I want to show everyone something, but I don't want them to be freaked out by what I am going to show them. And that is this short film and all of the components that went into making this 9-minute film, including all of the subtitles that I created, all of the dialogue and the sound effects of everything happening. And I know that when I was starting out and doing editing, I probably would have looked at something like this and kind of freaked out. However, it's not so bad when you start to work from the beginning and put all of your thoughts and ideas in this great bunch of footage that you've gone through and made. And one of the things I really want to talk about too in the process of all of this is that um, looking at what I have done here, this is the culmination of about 18 years of me working in film and television. I've taken a lot of time to get to this place, and I'm very proud of what I've done. Um, so it takes time. I don't want anything that we do or talk about here today for you to feel like this is something you have to achieve now, because really it's the first steps and those little pieces of accomplishments that get you down the road. And all of the things that you make, whether you film it, you edit it, whatever it is, there is no rule out there in the world that says you've got to put it on YouTube or release it or let anybody see it. You can always make stuff and start to get an idea of what your own personal voice and your own personal eye is. And from there, you can start to kind of build on your skills and test yourself a little bit more. Um, so this particular film was one that myself and a team of people shot back in June of last year. This is not from a script that I wrote. It was written by actually a team of other people, and then I was asked to come in and direct this short film. The original script was 36 pages, and I took it down to 7 or 8 pages, I believe, and then it's a roughly 9-minute film. Um, and if folks are wondering, this is a film that is being submitted to film festivals. It's already been submitted and played in some places, but it's also going to live on YouTube. Um, the only real strategy is that I want it to be out in the world in certain places where I might be paying a fee or maybe get invited and have it play at a film festival like a movie. Um, and then eventually I'll put it on YouTube. People will be able to watch it for free, but I treat everything about this film, whether I'm writing it, shooting it, or editing it, I treat it the same, whether I want it to go to a film festival and play on a big screen or whether I want it to go to YouTube. Um, Not everybody does that. Some things are very much geared for aspects of social media. Um, so this is the end product of everything that we did, but I want to show you the beginning of it. And we're going to be looking at, we've already shot our film. And because of um, the roles that I play as a person who is a director, who is a producer, who is an editor, sometimes only one of those at a time. Sometimes I'm all of those things at the same time. I tend to be thinking about all of this stuff all of the time. I'm wondering where I'm going to get my location, and I'm wondering what my camera is going to look like and what my frame is going to be when a person is saying this line, and I start to dream and imagine it. But I'm also thinking, when I'm putting all of those pieces together, what are the cool things that are going to make my story different or feel like it's mine? And I start to think about where I'm putting all of those pieces and how they're all going to fit together. And we'll kind of look and talk about some of those aspects today on there. One thing I did want to bring up, if this is okay, this film does have a couple of little expletives in it. However, I went through and I made sure that I bleeped out my expletives in here. And I just turned off the subtitles so that the words don't show up in there. It's a really great film, but I want to make sure that it's accommodating for everybody to be able to hear or see all of that as we go through it. So my process when I'm all done, I've shot all of my footage. Everything is in the can, as they used to say when we shot on celluloid. Now we shoot everything onto a hard drive. My film is all done. What do I do with everything that I've done? Uh, I get very, very excited. And sometimes I have to kind of gauge my own excitement and make sure that I slow down because I can get ahead of myself very quickly. So I try to come in uh, calm. I might wait a few days, give myself a little bit of time. I think the most I've waited is about a week before I've started to edit on something. Um, but then once I'm in, I'm in. And so this is my process for starting to figure out how my story is going to work. The first thing that I worry about for anything is I just want to make sure I have all my stuff. I've got all my parts and pieces, every shot that I made, every clip of audio that I made, everything is all there. I want to make sure that I got it. And I'm not starting to worry about what the film might actually be as much as making sure that all of my puzzle pieces are there. And again, I'm in Premiere. If you weren't around at the very beginning when I had mentioned this, I'm in Premiere. Um, and Premiere gives a lot of really great professional tools to be able to organize and set up the structure of however it is that you're going to work. And again, I've spent a long time trying to figure all of this out. If you were to go over, I'm currently right now, if you look to the left side of your screen where there is a blue box around the work palette that I'm on and this series of folders. Everything I do, the very first thing I do is I organize everything into folders. And I'm very organized when my footage is being shot, and the names of all of those things mean something. And then that way, when they all come over, they all mean something. And I know exactly when my footage was shot because it's in a footage folder, and it was shot on day one. And I know that it was the A camera, and I know that it's A camera because the name of all of the files starts with A. I know every single one of those. Um, and this is also really important too, in that most films are not shot in sequence. You could shoot the end before you shoot the beginning. You could shoot the middle scattered among all the other pieces. People are available, they're not available, the weather, the whatever. There's all sorts of things. So if you're never shooting something in order, but you're going to put it together in order, you have to be very organized with that. So I'm a very organized person when it comes to setting all of that up. And again, I'm still in my little blue box here to the left where I'm looking at all of my B camera footage that is all in the B camera folder. And it all starts with the letter B. And I know where each and every one of those are. Because I am that person to keep it all organized. But and part of that is too, I just don't have to think about it anymore. It's done. If I'm consistent and I'm organized, it's all together. And then I'm the same with my audio. And then as we go on, I'm going to be adding things like my music eventually. sound effects if I'm going to be doing any of those things. So I'm setting myself up in the beginning for success without having to really think about a lot of stuff when I'm in the process. Because there's a lot of things that I want to be able to think about. I don't want to think about where did I put this thing. I want to be able to have that labeled consistently well. If I'm looking back on a hard drive and I'm trying to, where is that one thing that we did that was on this one day that was, I've probably kept it extremely organized so that I can find it. So I've got all of my organizational folders. Everything is all set up. Now I can start looking at what we did and putting those pieces together. And I will kind of come in here and show you. So what I've done is for this film, I've done a few things. And Premiere allows for you to do this. Not every program's the same. I love this aspect of Premiere of what I'm able to do, but I have my very first shot, my very first clip, and you can kind of see the very first thing I shot, take number one of something. And again, being very organized. I also have everything has a slate, and the slate has a time, and everything has names and numbers on it. And that's all in professional film sets. Big Marvel movies will have the same thing. So very nice, very organized. So now I don't have to think about everything. But I go through, and with every single clip, I start to synchronize it to the audio of the dialogue from the people. These people are in the shot. I have them speaking, and I'm setting it up. And I set it up in order of not how it was shot, but the order of the story. So I've got this whole thing set up, and I've got color coding on here too, where I've actually told myself this is scene one, and even the number of takes that were in it. This is scene 1A, which means I was in the same scene, but I moved either the camera or I changed the lens. I'm in scene 1B, and I just continue to go through and I take all of that footage and I make sure that all the footage, and you can see on here, let me bring this in a little bit. I actually shot on two cameras at the same time with this one. So that's kind of doubled the amount of work that I have to. I have a B camera and I have an A camera, and then I have all of this audio, and everybody here's got a microphone. So that means every person has their own mic with their own audio on it. And then we also have what's called a boom mic, which is a person with a big long pole that has a microphone on the end of it. And they're kind of capturing all of the audio at once. And they're trying to capture all of the people. They're capturing what the sound is like in the environment, the room, all of that. So all of these can be manipulated. If somebody's got a microphone on their body and they're talking and they get really excited all of a sudden and they say something in this microphone gets really loud and it crackles and you can't make it all out. The person that's got the boom mic, their mic probably didn't crackle and do all of that. So I can take this audio and move it to this person. So I'm making sure I have all of those pieces again and lining them all up. And I want to do a check-in. How are we doing with folks so far on what I'm covering? Am I going too quickly or am I doing well? I see a thumbs up. Excellent. I will continue on. So I'm synchronizing my footage and I'm creating some form of a system for myself to keep track. I'm really big on visual. Sometimes I will skim words, things that I'm supposed to read. So while this is all broken down into having all of these titles on here that I can see what they are, scene one, scene two, whatever it is, I can sometimes be really bad about skimming that and miss something. So I'm really big on these colors, and the colors don't represent anything in particular. They're random. Uh, but what they are is they allow me to see that there is a difference. Like I can see that there is a difference between this set and this set because the color is different. I've just assigned whatever color I wanted to, and it just It's just whatever is able to get me to make sure I'm paying attention to what I need to pay attention to. Um, so once I've gone through, and I'll kind of go out here, this is every single shot that we did for this film over 2 days. It's every single shot with two cameras. Sometimes we were in one camera. We didn't always use two, but we mostly used two. Um, so everything from the cameras and then every single person's audio. And when we started out here in the beginning, in this bit, we actually had three people. Where's my third? So I've got three people that I start out with here. But I move on to eventually having four people in my shot. So the number of microphones and audio has increased by a bit. Um, so again, I'm just really trying to think about ways of not having to think about this ever again. Um, again, setting myself up for success as best as I possibly can. And then like I was saying, shooting out of when you shoot things out of order, now I've put everything in order for the story. I started out with my scene one, my scene two, scene three, my ending. It's somewhere in here. I have a little fun. We did a little fun ending in here that I don't see that's here, but if we watch any part of the film, we'll get to see it. So once I have set myself up to know what every single take is and everything is in order. Now I just have to start finding the good stuff. Some people take notes, or they'll have a note taker on set for them, a script supervisor. And if you don't have a script supervisor, if it's just you, which a lot of times I've been the person, it's just me, I will manage my own supervising of that. In that, what that person is they're making notes about how good a take was, and then anything that might make things inconsistent. So let's say we're doing a shot and two people are talking and one person walks over to a person and one person's sitting, one person standing, and the person walks up on the left side of that person and puts their hand down on their left shoulder and delivers their line. You're the best friend I've ever had. Hand goes on their shoulder. Okay, that was a good take, but let's do that one again and try again. And then the next time the person walks up on their left side and they put their hand on them, but they don't put their hand on their left shoulder, they reach around their head and put it on their right shoulder because they're in a little bit closer this time. That's inconsistent. And if I try to cut those two things together, they may not work. Hopefully on set, I noticed that and I said, okay, we're going to do it again. This time, put your hand on the left shoulder. So when I'm in my editing and I'm trying to find my story, I'm looking for performances. I'm looking for the camera being in focus. I'm listening to what people are saying and how they're presenting it. I'm looking at their eyes. Are their eyes looking in the right direction? You would be surprised, even with really great actors, sometimes you just get a little distracted. Something happens, or you're not quite in character, or somebody does something and you don't even catch it. You don't mean to. Maybe you look off to the side, or you don't think the camera's on you, so you're not quite looking where you need to be. You would be surprised at what one person looking in the wrong direction can mean for your story changing, because an audience can tell the difference when somebody in on screen isn't looking at in the right direction or at the right person. um, so I'm going through and trying to find those places of performance. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. So I've got a clip here that and I went through and watched. I watched for performance. They're all performing, everyone's doing their thing. My camera is really focusing on the two people whose face we can see. We have a third person. I've got a person with my back, but everybody's doing this particular set of lines because I'm trying to really get the reactions of my actors, but then also this is their angle. So when it comes time for them to deliver their line, they will deliver their line, which is like this moment right here. And can everybody see that okay? I don't mean for it to be too small for everyone. I'm balancing between showing you what I'm doing in my working timeline, but then what it also represents as far as being the actual actors on the scene. So hopefully we're doing well there. Excellent. I don't see anybody that's having a struggle, so that's good. Let me know um, if I'm moving too fast or if I'm not showing the things I'm talking about. Um, so in this moment, I've got my actor who is talking. And what I did is I found that moment and all of that dialogue. And this is already cut out because I already have edited on this thing. But I actually removed this piece of dialogue and this piece of footage, and that piece of dialogue and that piece of footage exists over. And let's see, let's do, just in case the volume is up really high. So this is about where is that where we were? There we go. So this is relatively about the same place. In fact, I think that clip might be this one. So I found this great performance by this person, and I literally cut it out. It's literally a cut tool that I have, and I make cuts in the footage, and then I take it and I put it into a whole new sequence to start to work from. You can do it in whatever order you like. Some people like to edit particular scenes because certain scenes mean the most to them. I start at the beginning. I start at the very first thing and I edit the very first. I edit my very first shot and I start thinking about how that's going to look. So we just start right off with here. I can take you off of there. Yeah. So I've synchronized my footage and now I'm starting to build my story. And the interesting thing about building a story, I don't have to necessarily worry about being too tricky or too precious with anything yet. I have lots of time to be able to do that. There's so many things to be able to worry about, but putting all of the best performances in order so that they make some story sense with the best performances they are. And actually, I've got another sequence here I should probably pop up. And that would be this one. So this is what I call a string out. And that is what I did from that first one. So let me do this. This is probably going to look really busy. I'm going to see if I can kind of get around it just to show you something interesting. I'm going to kind of shrink my picture up there right now because it's not the most important thing. But I have my original bunch of footage on top that I synchronized everything to, all of that audio and video. And then I started to find those pieces that I like this up here and this performance with this audio. But then I need to find that place of where I'm going to be putting it in order, which is going to be right here. So what I do is I start to make a really loose string out. I'm not being too precious with anything, but I'm putting the best of the best just in some kind of a general order so that I can see the performance. Sometimes I'll actually have two takes in a row. I might have this take that I thought was really, really good because the actor Danielle said her line really, really well. And then when we did the take again, her line was pretty good, but then the other person that's next to them said something, Arturo, that was really great. So I'll put them both there. And again, I'm not being too precious. I'm giving myself options because I'm going to go through and I'm going to start really picking what those pieces are going to be. And this probably sounds, I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't sound like it's too messy. If you look back over here to the left side of the screen and you look at uh, all of my sequences, again, with all of the details, I name them all very specifically because I kind of like to keep track of all of the stuff I'm doing. So if I'm synchronizing something, I'm synchronizing something. If I'm throwing a bunch of stuff together to see how it all works, I'm stringing it all out and making it see what it looks. When I'm getting ready to start really making my movie, now I'm making another one and I can always go back and go, where was that one performance? Oh, yeah, I remember. I had it in my string out and that was really good. Danielle did a really good spot with the line there. And I can start thinking about what that all, how it could all fit together. Um, I'm trying to decide. I'm curious in chat if you want to. I'll glance back at it here in a moment if you want to say, there's some technical stuff that I'm not kind of throwing out there with some of the editing stuff, but if a couple of you are feeling like it's a crazy Saturday and you want something that's a little bit in the weeds technical, let me know and I'll kind of throw that in there as well. Um, how are we doing with everyone? Everyone still good?
Yeah, it's
Good,
great.
good, good. Excellent. Um, so I've gone through and I found the best of the best. I have found the best of the best of everything. So I'm going to close down actually one of my little windows here and go back to this. Now balance out some of this here. So I've found the best of the best and I'm finally ready to start thinking about what my whole film is really going to be. I'm now really going to start digging into my film. And if you remember, this is my string out. This is that place where I've gone through and I've kind of put all of these best performances, these best angles, the best camera shot, the best whatever. Like this is the best of everything. And then I begin to edit that film for what I really want to see. And this is an option that's in Premiere. I'm sure it's all in other programs. I literally will just duplicate this sequence and make a brand new sequence. So this one is called String Outs Milestones, but its duplicate literally became this one that I retitled as Milestones. I call this one, if you see it on there, it says Milestones Bleeps, because as I had said, I had removed a couple of the words from in there. But at one time, this entire sequence looked exactly like this sequence. It didn't have all the other stuff involved. And so as I did this, and I'm going to mute some of these. Actually, let's just solo that and clear these. There we go. That'll limit some stuff. That'll make it a little easier. Um, so as I start to go through this, now I'm starting to really, really think about what is my story? What's emotional? What's important to me? And how do I start playing with aspects of my edit that make it interesting to me or interesting to other viewers? And if you look here, I've got each one of these breaks. If you see these breaks in between each one of these clips, a person is talking and then there's a cut. It goes to another clip. People are talking. It goes to a cut. People are talking. So each one of these little breaks that you can see right here are pretty linear in that the audio and the video are all cutting in the exact same place. So when this thing that I'm looking at is done making sound, and I go to this thing that I'm looking at that's making sound, they're all in alignment. But there's little tricks. There's little things that you can do that start to make a difference in what your story is and your performance, because sometimes it's the reaction of a person that can mean as much as the words. So instead of having these very straight cuts, the audio and the video both end at relatively the same time. Well, we can start playing with that and start looking at what people's reactions might be while that dialogue is going on. So if you look here, I have a person who is talking and acting, and then they turn and then they're reacting. And if you look, we're looking at this clip right here. Here's a whole section of reaction where other people, if you look down here in the green, people are talking. So these kind of cuts, they come in different forms. This one is considered a J cut. And if you watch my cursor, it's because where the audio and the video lineup is more like a J. There's a J that is formed by following this line of the video over here, but the audio is actually over here. And that can be reversed. You can have an L cut where your audio and your video are in opposite. So where the video continues on where you were, but the audio from somewhere else is happening. This is a J cut. You can have the uh, the video stop short and go to another one, but the prior thing that you were looking at is the person who's still talking, and I'll show an example of that. But I'm starting to look at these moments of like, well, what does that mean if I want to do something interesting? A person says something, this person said a word, something maybe a little bit startling, and now we're hearing the response and we're watching their reaction because now that person has reacted to how someone has reacted to them. And then we go to our next. And we're even looking at how people are lined up. This is our person. His eyes start to move up a little bit. They're a little bit off. Now he's looking directly at that person. So J and L cuts. Does that make sense? I'm double checking on here. Yeah, it's been a crazy Saturday. It's a beautiful Saturday out. I'm sorry that I've got all of you inside doing this, but I'm glad you're here. Um, so I'm just looking at interesting ways to be able to tell my story. Sometimes that person's reaction is the important part to me, as well as what the other dialogue is. And I think I've probably got myself some L's in here too, where the former person is going. So I'm looking for that as I'm going through and watching all of this. I'm looking for people's performance. I'm looking for how they're reacting. Sometimes I'm in, oh, this is an overhead one. Our person has passed out who had a knife. They just got done threatening their family. Where's the threat here? Actually, it's a good one. And this is, there it is. This is a family gone wrong. Um, and by the way, that is a $9 plastic knife that I repainted. It's from the Halloween series on Amazon of plastic Halloween knives. The beauty of Hollywood make believe. It's real cake that's actually on the knife, though. We did make it look like real cake. Um, so I'm looking at these performances and I'm starting to find the interesting things. You know, here's the great thing. We live at such a great time right now with editing because when I have all of this footage in here, I don't know if you know this or not. I may not have said this before. I'm looking at all of this footage and I'm moving it all around. I'm cutting it. I'm turning it into a variety of different things, but it's all digital information. The computer is not actually taking the clip that I have, my little camera piece, and actually doing anything to it. It's what it's doing is every time I have something in my editor, it references back to it. It goes, oh, this is a piece of information. I'm going to make a representation of this piece of information right here. And that piece of information is this color and this sound. And so I can change things and chop them up and move them around and I can make a hand disappear because I do all of this. And that's amazing because at one time, in my lifetime, there were people who had everything on celluloid film. And if they wanted to make something be a cut, they had to physically cut something and slide it into place and tape it into position so that they could go through. They would adhere it onto the next piece. Like they would go through and literally clip, and they would have to replicate a piece over and over again. And if they did something and they said, well, I want to try this, that meant that they were probably going to damage this piece and have to go on to another piece and do it. And we now have this freedom to be able to do it over and over and over again. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because if this is something that you want to do, you have the whole universe to be able to experiment and see what works and doesn't work for you. What happens when you take this clip or this person talking, or I change this thing, or I adjust this, or I slide this over there, I make one thing. You can do that. And again, nobody ever has to see it. And you can do it and try it, and then you can sit on it for a day and then come back the next day and watch it and go, "Oh, that actually really worked. I kind of like that. That was cool." So there is a tremendous amount of freedom that I want you to know that you have to explore all of this. This is literally like a paint palette. It's full of whatever paint you want to put on here. Um, so having that ability and hopefully that knowledge that you can experiment and do what you like, it's all there for you. There are rules to this, and the rules are just there to be broken. The rules are set up so that you have a place to jump off of and make for whatever crazy, amazing, and wild, fun, beautiful story you're going to tell. So, how we doing here? I've seen some stuff go through. I'm going to double check. It doesn't look like I've got any questions quite yet on anything. So, um, yeah, so I've made my film and I've been working on this and I've been tailoring it and I've gotten it all the way to here. I'm going to talk a little bit about audio for a while because I think that's probably one of the craziest looking parts of this. And the audio is everything that is down here in green. All of this, and there's kind of a, if you can make it out, there's kind of a line right here, a divider line between all of my video footage and any type of assets up here, and then anything that's audio that's all down here. And there's a lot more stuff chopped up when I'm in my audio. So let me actually zoom into some of these places. And again, like I was talking about, some people get really excited and all of a sudden that audio will get really, really loud. And I have to adjust for that because if somebody's listening to it, you want things to be loud and noticeable, but maybe not as loud as the microphone really picked it up. So I have to bring that audio down a little bit. Maybe somebody like in this scene is talking really, really quietly for a moment, and I've got to bring that audio up, not up too loud because I still want that subtle act of them saying something very low and maybe very quiet, but I want it to be loud enough that they can actually be heard by the audience and it carries on the story. So I'm always having to watch for that and the audio is constantly being chopped up. Probably something of note. Where's a good spot here? Actually, we're really close. Here's a good spot. Let me zoom into here. So I've got a great big gap right here where there is almost nothing. There's one little audio clip here. If you can see this little audio clip that's right here, but this is a giant gap where nothing in here is happening. And I have partially filled in that gap with a little chunk of audio that is called room tone. If you're filming something, room tone is very important. Anyone who is an actor, which I know there's one in here today, wink, wink, they know this one. Room tone is basically you get the sound of what the room is like with everybody standing in it so that it feels like all those bodies are there, but nobody makes a sound. It's just what the room sounds like when everything else is quiet, whatever little fan or just the ambiance of the room. The reason that's very important is because in this moment where two people have been talking and they've delivered the line and then something happens and these three folks are all looking off screen, there's probably other noise going on at the time. Something weird is going on. So I actually removed all of this audio out of here, but it's noticeable when there's no sound. When there is absolutely no sound, every like the audience knows it. It's actually a little unnerving. So I can now take that little piece of room tone and I can cover up my gap here in this place where I want just the silence of the room. Let's see. I have some music in here too. Actually, where's a good one? I've got a whole bunch of sound effects in here. Is this a sound effect? It's hard to tell. Let's get in here with this one. I have all sorts of sound effects in here. Oh, I know a really great one. It's actually this one right here. This should be, yes, people walking. I'm going to just solo this track here. That is not their shoes. That is somebody else's shoes who has very similar shoes walking on a very similar surface. And I went through and put that back on because we put little tiny felt pads on the shoes of these people because in this great big room that we had with all hardwood floor and plastic seats in it, every footstep echoed for eternity. So we had to compensate for that, which meant that everybody had little pads on their shoes, and then their shoes made no sounds. So when I wanted people to walk, we were able to add in the sounds of their feet. Um, Doing the sound is usually one of the last things that you do. It's kind of when you've got your story down. I've edited my story. It's like, this is it. This is my story. Now I can start cleaning up my audio, adding in little sound effects. I think I even have a little sound effect when my person has their really bad moment, um, and they grab a knife. Yes, I think I'd heard something. Oh, um, there it is. So there's a moment right here where they grab this very plastic knife that doesn't make any sounds other than a plastic sound. But I have the sound of a little piece of metal scraping across something ceramic to make it sound like something is happening with them grabbing that knife there. And there's also a moment, and then I'm gonna start wrapping this up. This moment right here, this person has a glass and they chug their drink and then they throw it. And that is a plastic cup. And the plastic cup, let me turn off my solo here. That plastic cup sounds like breaking glass. That is all sound effects. And you can get sound effects for free for various places. Most of the ones I have are. That was me in my edit. I'm starting to really tell more stories around the sound. I think the sound's the most important thing. Your camera can be kind of okay and you can shoot like not so good footage. But if your sound is bad, everyone's going to hear your sound is bad. Um, So I think I'm starting to really push my time here. I want to make sure that I open everything up for any kind of questions or any kind of discussions that folks have. And I'm going to keep this on here. I won't come out of this screen, but if it's okay, I'll kind of open it up now for questions or discussion. And I'll glance at the chat real quick. I don't know if we have any in there. Let's
Yeah.
see. There's one. Let me scoot my window back up here a little bit. Are there any specific types of cuts we should know about or be aware of as beginners? Yeah. And I was kind of touching on that one with the idea of a cut being very much directly in line. So I'm gonna pop back onto here. Something being very directly in line. Well, if you look here, I've even got a spot where the the cut of my two clips that I have here, and they have a cut in between them, but my audio is cutting over here. So that's kind of that L cut, J cut kind of a look that we were talking about before. So I would say a linear cut, a J cut, and an L cut. And if the L and the J cut don't make sense or if you have a hard time remembering them, it's really what you're doing is, do I have the audio and the video for my reaction happening at the same time? I could be watching a person react to what the audio is, or I could have the so I had a person who was talking, they have stopped, we're watching their reaction now to the audio, or we cut to another person and we're watching them now react while the audio from the prior person is still talking. Those are just different ways of being able to play with your story and be able to shift your perspective, because that's kind of what you're doing too, is you're really trying to gain the perspective of what other people are having in the moment. And so thinking about those places and how to cut and the perspective that you're trying to represent there is a good way to think about that. Let's see. Let me make sure I'm not missing. I don't know if there are any questions prior to that one. I'm skimming real quick. Um, what video
That was
editing
the
program?
that
I
was the
talked about
earliest
that.
question.
Okay, cool. Let's see. How long did it take to do the editing before you started in on the audio? So I'm not a good representation of what most people are because I'm a really, really fast editor. Because this film was one that I worked on the script and I took it down from a 36-page script to a 7 or 8 page script. And then I did all the storyboarding and I did all of the production setup on it. I already knew what a lot of my cuts and what my design was going to be. I'm very specific and rather intricate on a lot of things. So my cut was really fast. So I went very quickly from having what would be called a like a not a locked picture but like a locked story. It was locked in, like my story was locked in, to getting to the edit to the audio. So I probably started cleaning up the audio. I maybe spent like I don't know, 6 or 8 hours on the film and then started getting into the audio, maybe 10 hours. I probably had edited for about 10 hours to get the story done, and then I dove into the audio. Yeah. Um, let's see. Where it's where can I get free to use, free of cost, royalty-free sound effects? So a really good place. So this is going to be the crazy one. There's actually a ton of stuff on YouTube. You can do royalty-free music and royalty-free sound effects. Like I had said, I had actually bleeped out some of the bad words in here ahead of time, and I realized I didn't have the simple sound effect of just a boop. So I went to YouTube and found it for free, downloaded that video for free on there, and then brought it into my editing, and then I just used the audio in the places on it. There's a lot of free stuff on YouTube on there. You have to make sure that you are searching for royalty free music or royalty free sound effects. Those are great places. Some of those places too might have something where they're like, download the bundle here, and maybe they'll charge you like $20. I've done that before too. The thing about that is usually I've had to go through like about 4 or 5 different companies and, paid 10 to $20 over those many folks over multiple years to finally build up like a really good library of stuff that eventually is like, this is solid. So YouTube's a great place to start. Let's see. When do you tend to cut between characters? I never know. Even with all my planning and preparation, I never know where I'm going to cut until I start to see what their performances are. And I may have some ideas when I'm watching the performances on set. Um, but a lot of times you kind of really never know, because sometimes you can have a person where you've got this actor is doing this thing and they were in whatever that take is, and we're filming them. The camera's looking at them, so it's theirs. And then we're looking at now this person and this person, that could be 2 or 3 hours between the time when this person had the camera on them and this person had the camera on them. So sometimes it's hard to tell. And that's actually one of the really great things about that idea of going back to those non-linear cuts, those J's and L's, because there have been times where somebody has flubbed up on a word, or maybe something wasn't quite right. And I've cut to the other person's reaction and I've replaced a couple of words or two. And because the word or two, or maybe part of a sentence doesn't line up, you can't tell the difference because I've kind of cleaned it up and it all sounds the same. But you're watching a person react and you're like, oh, they're reacting. This is really great. And really, it's like 4 different parts that I've Frankenstein together to make something that's really good. So you kind of never know until you're in that moment what it's going to be. Let's see. Before the shutdown, have you used Adobe Flash Player before? Not, I haven't used Flash for anything other than Flash used to be like the thing, especially for anything that was like if you were building websites and you were making GIFs or a variety of different things. But I've actually never used it other than having to download it as a necessary plugin or a framework for something. Um, in fact, before this question, I might have been hard pressed to let you know that it even existed anymore. It may still be out there. I'm an Adobe fan. I use all sorts of Adobe stuff. They have good things. So if it's still alive out there, it's probably worth using. If you're looking for other free platforms, there are some. And, especially social media, you can get CapCut, which isn't very good. But it's passable for doing certain social media things. It's great if you're on TikTok or doing stories for Instagram. Those kind of things, they take a little bit of practice. I have a hard time with them because I'm always trying to do things like this. But if you look at my system right here, I actually have three monitors spread out across but this is almost as wide as my arms reach. So let's see. Also, how do you add audio? It will not let me add to the timeline. Let's see. I'm going to guess that you're probably in maybe Premiere. If this is a Premiere question, I had a weird thing. Let's see. Am
No,
I still?
it's actually a DeviantArt question.
It's a which one? Oh, DeviantArt. I
DeviantArt.
Oh, I don't know how to add on DeviantArt, because that's a website, I believe, like a portfolio platform for people to be able to
Oh
have their
wait,
work
no,
on there.
not DeviantArt, DaVinci, sorry.
Oh, DaVinci Resolve. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I'll tell you, if DaVinci Resolve is not letting you import it in, it probably, I'm gonna guess one of two things. You probably have the free version, and there might be something about that audio where DaVinci doesn't want to import it in. So what DaVinci does, oh man, what's the simple way to say this? Video and audio are all kind of built on some kind of a framework. If you ever see like the .mov or .mp3, .mp4, those all mean that somewhere along the lines they use some kind of a structure to put all that music into a file type.
Great, so I
Div-
have to
Div-
pay just to do a podcast. Sweet.
Well, yeah, so there's ways around it. If DaVinci won't let you pull it in, it probably means that audio may have been recorded in a format that they don't want to accept on the free version. They may want you to have the professional version. Now, there's ways around that. There is a program called, I want to make sure I get this right here, because um, it's called Audacity. And I used Audacity for years and it's completely free. And again, YouTube University, you can watch a couple of videos if you want to learn how to do it. For the most part, its function and its format is very simple. And the reason I wanted to make sure it was Audacity because Adobe has one that's called Audition, which I was looking on here. Audition
I'm
is the
using
one.
Audacity too, and I'm still getting the same problem.
What's the error that you're getting from that, if I could ask?
Well, I'm rendering it as a WAV file or whatever,
Mhm.
and it's still not taking it. I
Hmm.
can put it in the library, but I just can't put it on the timeline.
Oh, have you tried to render it out as an MP3 instead?
It won't even take those.
Hmm.
So,
I've used
I mean, I
DaVinci
can
and I
try,
don't
but
know why it wouldn't
still.
take an MP3.
Yeah, that might be so um I would have to look into that. I don't know that I could answer that right off the fly here, but if
I can send you
you're
my email and you can get back to me if you want.
yeah, well, I was going to say you can if you want to reach out to me, you're welcome to. If I did put my website at the top of this. You can reach out to me there. And also here, let me put my email in here for everyone. You're welcome to email me. There we
Okay,
go.
this was
And
a
I
long
can,
question.
yeah, I can look at it and see. That one's a tough one. I would have to experiment and find out. Let's see. How do you separate the audio from the footage? Um, So with that one, and that's probably like a DaVinci one again. I'm not sure. I don't use DaVinci very often, and I don't have anything against it. It's Premiere is intuitive to me. It just makes sense where they hide the buttons, and DaVinci and other platforms don't make sense with where they hide the buttons. That's the only
I
reason
just
that
got
I
it
stay in
because I
there.
can't afford any Adobe software right now.
For sure. And for a long time, I was the same way. I was using free versions of whatever I could. I started my career on like a cracked version of a friend's piece of Adobe. There was a time where I had what's called Premiere Pro Elements. Like it was a really big deal to me to get Premiere Pro Elements because it was $99. And I could say I finally have made enough money to buy my editing software.
Is that
So I get it.
for monthly subscription or just permanent?
It's a one time. You buy Premiere Elements one time and then you just own it. Now it is a little bit limiting. There's certain like it doesn't let you make like the biggest, beefiest, gnarliest movie file format that you could, but as far as like making YouTube videos or stuff for podcasts or anything, totally great. Like it'll do all of that stuff.
Okay, so what's it called again? Like something elements?
Yeah, Premiere Pro Elements. Let me actually see if I can find a quick link to it for you. To do. Um, let's see. Easy with Premiere Pro Elements 2026. Stunning video. It looks like the basic one is still $99.99. So I will copy that and put that in the chat for you. That's the one that I started out on. Looks like they have a Photoshop and a Premiere combo for 150 bucks.
Are you kidding me? Because I have to pay 80 bucks for Photoshop. This is new. I'm totally getting it.
Yeah. Well, don't just jump on it yet because I sent the link in there. I would definitely say kind of look around, make sure it's what you want to get. And yeah, and then you can go for it from there. There might be some solutions for DaVinci stuff as well on YouTube. I don't know if you've searched YouTube videos.
I do that a little bit, but I don't have the time to really do it now that I have a job. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Should I stop now? I'm taking so much time up.
No, you're totally fine. I'm here for you, so that's what it's all about. Let's see, because I think actually, let's see, there's an Audacity. Oh yeah, Gwen was saying that they use Audacity on their stuff. So yeah, I used Audacity for years on things. I actually think I may still have Audacity, I think actually still on here. I think it's one of those where like even though I don't use it, yeah, I still have it installed on here. Even though I don't use it, it's just a thing that I still installed just to have it. So, um I'm seeing that it is 3:01 and I don't want to go past anyone's time because it is a beautiful Saturday. I'll kind of wrap up my piece here and thank all of you for this. And I guess I'm turning it back over to Brian and we'll see
Wait,
what happens next.
wait, hold on.
Oh, yes.
What about my last question?
About your last question.
I'm just wondering how you said that
Oh,
the sound effects are like on YouTube and stuff. How do I
uh-huh.
download the YouTube videos?
Let's see here. Let me pop over there really quick. Let's see. So, free, um, let's see. What do we want here? We want, free music, no copyright. Let's see what we get here. So if I go to non-copyright instrumental, some of them will have a link. So I'm going to kind of see here, like on this one, if I go to their description, so they have unlimited downloads over here, and then they have use the code B copyrights 6. Um, so I'm just kind of shooting from the hip a little bit here. They have an official download here. Let's see what happens when we go to this one. So just by clicking on that link, I can go right here and download it
Well,
for
that's
this
great.
for that particular person. And this If you're still with me here, this one's called Breaking Copyright Royalty-Free Music. So if I just go to their actual channel, it looks like they've got a whole website right here. They've got a whole description of things. They have an official website, which I think is where we were when we were getting this. Yep, Breaking Copyright. So we can go to Breaking Copyright, and they probably have a search function to be able to download tons and tons of different things. Um, so these are all downloads here. I go to a person, let's see, bookmark. Where's my bookmark? Sorry, I'm trying to go quick here. In
No,
Compotech,
it's all right.
I'm gonna put this in the chat for you all as well. I've been using this person's stuff for years. As far as their music searches and whatnot, they don't tend to have sound effects, but they have music. They have tons of it. You can see up at the top, royalty free. One thing that I would like to say to everyone, since I still have you here, and I apologize for having us still go on, but anytime you use someone's free music or free sound effects, uh, always give them 100% credit.
Right.
Every single thing. I still to this day use this guy's stuff. He's actually the intro song for my film podcast. He's in my credits
Right.
always, and I throw him $100 when I can too. So I really want to stress that for folks.
Right. That's why I've specified royalty free. So
Yeah.
because I just feel pretty shy when it comes to giving credit and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
well, yeah, you can put it at the end, when you've got your film and it says directed by and your name and edited or whoever, and then you can just say and music supplied by and then you can say Kevin McLean, I think is his name. Yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
for
you're
stopping
welcome.
by.
Yeah, sorry I missed your question in there. Let me
No,
double check,
it's
make
all
sure.
right. It's all right.
How do you download stuff? I got that one. I use Audacity. There's my email in case anyone. But did I miss anything else? I think that's all of the questions that I see in the chat.
Yep, I think we're good.
Cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, everyone. I absolutely super appreciate you for having me here.
Yeah, thanks, Martin. That was amazing. That was really great. I know editing there's a lot that goes into it, so we could probably just go on and on, but I think we got a good overview of it. And yes, I really appreciate it. And so for those of you who are in the Portland area, actually, Martin does teach full filmmaking classes at his Dynamic Frame Film Academy. So if you're interested in that, you can find out more information. But yeah, so I think. What do we got? Our next workshop is on April 18th. It's going to be a 1 year recap of the Neurodivergent Creators Collective. We're going to do kind of like a Ask Me Anything session and just kind of talk about what we've done so far and where we're going in the future. So um, please be sure if you're interested to sign up for that. Otherwise, thank you so much for spending the afternoon here with us. Thank you to Martin. Thank you to everybody who came. And have a great rest of your weekend.
Thanks, everyone.